Today's video is about nitric oxide. It's the second part in the series. I'm going to talk about things that we do that reduce the ability of the body to produce nitric oxide. So I'm going to focus mainly on the drugs and the chemicals that we use in daily life that reduce the amount of nitric oxide production. So the major component of the nitric oxide that's produced in your body comes from the endothelium. It's just innately produced. It's produced in the inside of the walls. It's produced from the lining of the nose. It's produced from the mouth. So what we can definitely improve production from nitric oxide that's produced in the mouth. And for that, what's produced in the mouth is actually because we've got bacteria that help us break down the nitrates into nitrites, and that is what then gets converted into nitric oxide. So anything that disrupts the microbiome of the mouth will cause you to have difficulty in producing nitric oxide. So antibacterial mouthwashes, so broad spectrum antibacterial mouthwashes will disrupt the microbiome, and it will prevent your bacteria from being able to produce enough nitric oxide for themselves and for you. If you use a lot of toothpaste that contains fluoride, it's same thing's going to happen. If you use antacids on a regular basis, not antacids, what we call proton pump inhibitors. So the usual drugs are omeprazole, pantoprazole, rabiprazole. All of these drugs will reduce the production of acid in your stomach. And you might think that's a good thing, but if you reduce it so much that the stomach, there's not enough stomach acid, and that will then prevent the nitrites and nitrites to getting reduced and then turning into nitric oxide. So it's a very important part of your nitric oxide cycle. So preventing your stomach from producing enough acid is a bad idea, especially in the long term. So those drugs were licensed only for short-term use. But if you look at anyone's prescription, they're on long-term uh, antacids and PPIs, what you call proton pump inhibitors. And these drugs are a major culprit in why there's increased high blood pressure, increased incidence of high blood pressure. Now, this is not evidence. It's not an evidence-based statement where I'm saying most of the high blood pressure in our population is now because of proton pump inhibitors. But there's definitely a serious mechanism. There's a mechanism on how it can increase blood pressure, and unless you really need it, you shouldn't be taking those drugs on a regular basis. And then there's antibiotics. So long-term use of antibiotics and indiscriminate use of antibiotics in high quantities, or frequent use of antibiotics in high quantities, will also disrupt the microbiome of your mouth, and that is also going to make it difficult for your body to produce enough nitric oxide. Um, so you need to watch the use of these drugs. For example, PPIs, fluoride containing toothpaste, and mouthwashes. So, unless there's a very good medical indication for the use of these compounds, you shouldn't be using them on a regular basis. So that's about things that cause you to be less able to produce nitric oxide. Now, in the next part, we'll see what you can do as part of your lifestyle to improve your nitric oxide production. Thank you.